Hey, my name's Davey Blackburn, and I'm the lead pastor of a brand new church plant in Indianapolis, Indiana called Resonate Church. My wife Amanda and I used to live in Greenville, South Carolina, where we served on staff at New Spring Church under senior pastor Perry Noble. And so you guys are probably familiar with that church being in that part of the country. Phenomenal church. We loved everything about it. And the Lord has just worked on our hearts over the past year to call us to plant a church. And so we went to our senior pastor, we went to Perry and talked to him about how the Lord had really just stirred our hearts to plant a church. And so Perry said that he and New Spring wanted to get behind it, and they shipped us up to Indianapolis, and we're up here just trying to break ground and reach a lot of people for Jesus. So the camera quality, the sound, the audio, none of that stuff is very high tech. In fact, it's very poor right now. As kind of an illustration to show you what it looks like and what it feels like to be a church planter, to have literally nothing. I mean, we are like poor, like just a notch above college poor. Like you guys, I mean, I get it. Ramen noodles. You ain't got a buck to spare. We're like we can afford the ragu, but we're poor. We got nothing. And so I'm sitting right here in my living room where we have about 7 people right now that meet, and we talk about vision and strategy, and we dream and we pray about one day when the Lord is going to allow us to reach hundreds of thousands of people in this city for the name of Jesus. And so I'm really glad to be able to chat with you guys a little bit. I was excited that Dr. Gonlag asked me to share a couple things with you. And so I wanted to share with you a little bit about my experience at SWU and how it has really affected my life and my ministry and what we're doing today. You guys are in a valuable season in your life. I'd encourage you to soak it up 100% and don't waste the time that you have. The thing, probably the most influential thing about Southern Wesleyan and my experience there had to do with my time playing on the baseball team. I had a baseball scholarship to play there. And as you guys well know, some of you may be on the baseball team, some of you may be in athletics. It is just a ripe harvest or a ripe field for ministry. And so we had a lot of guys that didn't know the Lord, that we got to spend a lot of time with just sharing about Jesus. And a lot of those guys in the course of 2 or 3 years of us just really pouring into them met Christ. And in fact, got a chance to start what you may be familiar with, Ignite, right there on that campus. And I remember in one semester, over 40 athletes meet Christ through Ignite and get plugged into small groups. And it was just an incredible time that taught me a lot about ministry. And that, coupled with the ministry track of the classroom setting and all the professors there, just really equipped me for being able to do what I'm doing right now and just pursuing a dream of planting a church that sees hundreds of thousands of people far from God meet Christ. I'd say probably the 3 most important things, though, that I learned there at Southern Wesleyan. Number 1 would probably be this, and this is in no particular order of priority or anything like that, but just some of the things, if I were to spitball them right now, that I really learned at Southern Wesleyan is, number 1, you're not training to do ministry someday. You need to be doing ministry today. I feel like I had a lot of friends growing up, or not growing up, but going through Southern Wesleyan in my time there, and just a lot of them had the attitude of we're going to do ministry someday. We're kind of in this training camp, this boot camp right now, where we're figuring out how to do ministry. And one day when I become a pastor, or one day when I become a youth pastor, or one day when I become a worship leader, that I'll implement all this stuff. And so what they would do is they would go to classes, and then they would leave their classes, and they would spend the rest of their evenings playing Halo 2 in their underwear, and not doing a lick about what they were trying to not doing anything about what they learned in those classes. And so then they couldn't figure out why that classroom setting didn't feel relevant to them. And one of the things that I was doing at Southern Wesleyan, and I'm not the hero of the story, it's not about me, but this is something that the Lord really allowed me to see through all of this, is as I was pouring out to the guys on the baseball team, as I'm sitting in the living room of our apartments, up there at the apartments on campus, and we're just talking about Jesus, the things that I was learning in the classroom were actually making sense, and I was practicing it right there. And I'm telling you right now, you guys have a unbelievable opportunity to do ministry where you're at right now. There's probably a third of the a third of the population there at SWU that doesn't know Jesus, and you have the opportunity to reach those people. And so don't fall into the mindset of one day I'm going to do ministry, one day when I become a pastor, or one day when I become this. Make it happen today. And those classes in the classroom setting just really enhanced and enriched my experience there at Southern Wesleyan because I was doing ministry today. So that's probably the first thing that I learned. One of the things that we say at our church all the time is that we will fully embrace what God has placed in front of us now. It's a stewardship issue. If you fully embrace the ministry that God has placed in front of you now, even if it's a small one, if it's one person that you're trying to reach for Christ right there on your campus, right there at the lunch table, right there in your dorm room, wherever it is, then the Lord is going to multiply that, just like the parable of the talents. And he's going to give you and bless you with a lot more. But if you're not faithful with a few, you can't be faithful with a lot. And so that's probably the first thing that I learned. That was the most valuable thing for me. The second thing I learned was, and I don't know if this gets talked about enough, but I remember having a class where we talked about this, and I think it was with Dr. Wood, where we talked about the importance of your family when it comes to the context of ministry, especially the importance of your spouse. And just to share a little bit about what we've just done there, as I was planning to go and plant the church here in Indianapolis, I would go and ask a couple of my friends or ask people that I know or ask people to be a part of this. And I can't tell you how many times I heard this statement. It was, Davey, I would love to go to Indianapolis with you and plant this church. And I would if I was single. And that statement kind of caught me off guard at first. And I started thinking about it and I was like, that doesn't make sense. Because the Bible talks about in marriage, the two become one. And so if you, especially the guy, if I'm going to talk to the guys for just a second, I know there's some girls in there too, and it's very important for you guys in ministry to choose a spouse that is fully supportive of you as well. But I want to especially target the guys right now. Your wife is going to either squelch your ministry or slingshot your ministry into places of influence that you never thought possible. It's going to do one of two things, though, your relationship with your wife. And I've seen wives who have really squelched people's ministry because they wanted to be close to home and close to family all the time, and they were really needy and manipulative and not on board with the ministry that God, the calling that God has placed on that family and on the head of that household, the husband, on his life. And I've seen that. I've seen it squelch it. And I've seen that husband, that man, not be able to reach the people and have the effectiveness that he should have because of that wife. I've also seen and experienced a wife who is fully on board, fully supportive, and my wife particularly, she has just slingshotted me into areas of ministry and influence that I never thought I could have. And we reach more people and are more effective for the kingdom together than we ever would have been by ourselves because she's fully supportive and she's fully behind the calling that God has placed on our life. I don't know of any other wife that would just pick up across the country and move at just like that when the Lord has called us to move and go and reach a city that we were unfamiliar with when we loved everything behind us. But it's because my wife is fully on board. And so I think one of the things that we don't talk about a whole lot is that how much that spouse factor in your relationship can really inhibit or it can really excel your ministry and your influence and the amount of people that you're going to be able to reach. So choose that spouse. I can't stress this enough. Choose your spouse carefully. If there's red flags going on right now, you need to take those red flags into consideration. If your girlfriend or fiance or whatever, your future spouse right now, the person that you're dating, has any inkling of a problem with the fact that you have the highest calling in the world possible on your life, and that it's going to be a high demand on your life to sacrifice, then you need to end the relationship right now because you won't be effective in ministry. I don't care how beautiful she is, dudes. I don't care how cute he is, girls. I don't care. That needs to be a high priority in your life. So that's probably the second thing I learned. The third thing I learned, and this is probably the most important, is that you and I need to make our lives about reaching people far from God. Because at the end of the day, that's the Great Commission. Jesus came, left his comfortable place so that he could go and seek and save the lost. He said he came for the sick, not the well. And absolutely, are we going to grow people up who know Christ? Yes. Are we going to disciple people? Yes. But I think one of the things that I learned at Southern Wesleyan that has really helped me to become the pastor that I am today, and that I hope to be 20, 25 years from now, and someone who's reaching thousands of people that are lost and seeing them be found and then grown up. I learned that the utmost calling for us is to go and seek and find people who are far from God and bring them into a relationship with Jesus Christ. And so those are the three things that I really feel like that Southern Wesleyan equipped me with, taught me to do. And so I pray and hope that you guys capitalize and maximize your experience there at SWU. And I love you guys, and I believe in you guys, and you guys are going to change the world. And it's going to be an unbelievable thing to see how many people you reach for Christ because of the investment that you're making right now. I love you guys. Bye.